Imagine waking up tomorrow morning. You walk to the kitchen, grab a glass, and turn on the tap. But instead of clear, fresh water, a foul-smelling chemical sludge spits out. You think it's just a broken pipe. You check the news, and then you see it. It's not just your house, it's not just your city. Overnight, a coordinated devastation has hit every major artery of the United States. The Mississippi, the Colorado, the Ohio, the Missouri, the very lifeblood of our nation, have been chemically contaminated, poisoned. In an instant, the water supply for 330 million people is compromised. No drinking water, no agriculture, no industry. This isn't a drought that gives us years to prepare. This is a light switch turning off. Welcome to the day America runs dry. Today, we are simulating a nightmare scenario, a total hydraulic collapse. We often talk about the power grid going down, but we rarely discuss the water grid. The Colorado River alone supports 40 million people across 7 states. The Mississippi River Basin drains 41% of the continental United States and is the backbone of our agriculture. If these rivers became toxic overnight, we aren't just talking about being thirsty. We are talking about the immediate halt of the American economy and a desperate countdown to survival. Most cities only have a few days of clean water in reserve. After that, it's chaos. We're going to break down the timeline of this collapse, from the first hour of panic to the week where society begins to fracture. We'll look at who survives, which cities fall first, and what happens when the most advanced nation on Earth suddenly cannot wash, drink, or grow food. By 9 a.m., the shelves of every grocery store in America are stripped bare. Bottled water is the new gold. A case of water that cost $4 yesterday is now trading for $50, then $100. By noon, physical fights break out in the aisles of Walmart and Costco. The psychological shock is instant. We are conditioned to trust the tap. When that trust breaks, panic sets in immediately. But the real danger isn't the thirst yet, it's the infrastructure. You see, heavy industry and power plants rely on river water for cooling. Without clean intake water, thermal power plants and nuclear facilities along the Ohio and Mississippi rivers are forced to initiate emergency shutdowns to prevent meltdown or equipment destruction. By the time the sun sets on the first day, rolling blackouts begin to hit the Midwest and Southwest. The lights are flickering, the taps are poison, and 330 million people are realizing they don't have a plan B. This is where the math gets scary. FEMA guidelines suggest every American have 3 days of water stored. In reality, most people have less than a day's worth in their fridge. Municipal water systems, the big tanks and reservoirs that supply cities like New York, Los Angeles, and Houston, typically hold between 3 to 14 days of emergency reserves. But that estimate assumes normal usage. In a panic, consumption spikes before it stops. By day 3, the pressure in the pipes is gone. This introduces a new horror: sanitation. The toilets stop flushing. The average American uses up to 80 gallons of water a day, mostly for sanitation. When 8 million people in New York City or 4 million in Los Angeles can no longer flush waste, cities become biohazards within 48 hours. Hospitals are hit hardest. Sterilization requires immense amounts of water. Dialysis machines stop. Surgeries are canceled. The medical system collapses not because of a virus, but because they cannot clean their hands or instruments. At this point, the National Guard is deployed to distribute water. But do the math. A human needs 1 gallon a day for survival. That is 330 million gallons of water that need to be trucked every single day over a road network that is gridlocked with refugees fleeing the cities. It is a logistical impossibility. 1 week in. The cities are turning into war zones over water trucks, but the silent killer is at work in the heartland. The Mississippi River Basin is the breadbasket of the world. It produces 92% of the nation's agricultural exports. Irrigation systems draw directly from these rivers. With the water poisoned, the pumps are shut off. Millions of acres of corn, soy, and wheat begin to wither in the field. But it's worse for livestock. You can tell a human to ration water. You cannot tell a herd of cattle. A single dairy cow drinks 30 to 50 gallons of water a day. With the rivers toxic, farmers are faced with a heartbreaking choice: watch their animals die of thirst or euthanize entire herds. By day 7, the U.S. meat and dairy supply chain has effectively ended. The food crisis that follows will make the water crisis look manageable. We aren't just looking at a few days of thirst, we are looking at a year of famine. The Mississippi River also carries 500 million tons of freight annually. Barges carrying grain, coal, and oil are now floating on poison, unable to unload, unable to move. The economic arteries are severed. 2 weeks in, the cities are unlivable. Sanitation systems have failed completely, leading to outbreaks of dysentery and cholera, diseases we thought we left in the 19th century. We see a reversal of history. For 100 years, Americans moved from the country to the city. Now, the migration reverses. Millions of people flee Los Angeles, Phoenix, and Las Vegas, desert cities that never should have existed without the Colorado River. They head for the only places with water left: the deep rural areas with private, disconnected well systems, or the Great Lakes region, assuming those lakes weren't part of the initial contamination. This is where the societal divide snaps. Rural communities with clean groundwater wells become fortresses. They have what the cities don't. Tension rises. Martial laws declared not just to keep order, but to protect water sources. The government begins the desperate process of drilling new emergency wells and setting up massive filtration units. But it's too little, too late for the millions displaced. The U.S. economy has collapsed. The dollar is worthless compared to a gallon of distilled water, and the nation is fundamentally changed. This scenario is hypothetical, but the vulnerability is real. We built a civilization in the desert, and on the banks of rivers we assume will always flow clean. We live under the illusion of permanence. But as we've seen today, it only takes one chemical event, one coordinated attack, or one massive accident to turn our greatest natural assets into our greatest threat. So, here's the question you need to ask yourself today. If the taps stopped running this second and didn't come back on for a month, how long would you last? Do you have your 14 days of water? Or would you be in that line at the supermarket fighting for the last bottle? If you want to know how to actually build a water storage system that can survive this scenario, make sure you subscribe and check out our survival guides. Don't rely on the grid, rely on yourself.